Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Hello. I am Sherelle Higgins, your host of Let's Get Into It. And today we are going to get into it. We are living in chaos. We are living in fear. We are living in anxiety. And as women, it is important for us to be able to lead our families in such a way that our families can feel a sense of peace and a sense of calm. As most people know, women can set the tone for the house. And if our children or our significant others sense that we are not in peace, we are not aligned, it will impact them. And so, my special guest today and I will talk about what we can do to empower working women. And I know that's an oxymoron right now, particularly for our federal workforce. You are going to keep your job. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, because if you put it out there, then that means that it's bound to come true. And so we are just going to put it out there. We're going to claim it. You are going to keep your job. You are going to continue to be able to provide for your families and for yourself. And so today, my special guest is Latika Vines, who is the host of her own podcast called Empowering Working Moms. So welcome to the stage, Latika.
Thank you, Sherelle, for having me. Such an honor to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me for this very important conversation. I think we have to keep things in perspective. I've been using that word a lot this year, perspective. And I think it's important that we, try to share different strategies with our working moms to help them navigate the troubled waters. And
Yes.
so, with that said, I would first like to ask you, what's women empowerment? What does that mean to you?
Oh, such a good question. I truly believe that empowerment is giving you the authority, giving you the power, really having you step into the confidence that you already have. So many times we feel like we don't have anything. We're stuck. We are overwhelmed with things, but we have dominion and authority. That
Mm,
is our God given right. And so, empowerment is having you remember that dominion and authority, that power that's already inside of you, that sometimes you just need someone to tap it out, to bring it out to the forefront so that you can move forward and do what it is that you are supposed to do for yourself, your career, and your family.
okay. Yes. So, do you think self care is a part of women's empowerment?
I don't think we have enough time to talk about that topic. Self care. Where would you be if you did not take care of yourself?
Mm,
Where would you be? Um, Self care is so important. And self care for me and what I share with the working moms that I work with is having a winning circle.
Mm,
And that winning circle is a therapist, is your pastor or a bishop or a minister, someone that you can confide in, and can pray over you and hold you accountable to, whatever it is that calling is for you over your life. Also, your primary care physician. Um, you technically are supposed to see your primary care every year, once a year, but your primary care, is that reference, is that referral to help you in certain aspects of your life for your body, mentally, of course, physically. But for us as women, we have, referrals for OBGYNs, eye doctors, so there's so much that a primary care is there for. And so that's part, for me, very essential for your winning circle. An accountability partner.
mm,
An accountability partner is someone who is going to be brutally honest with you and tell you what is and what isn't. Um, and that's someone that you trust and someone that you can be vulnerable with, but it's so important for you to have. And then lastly, you need
mm.
a community of individuals that may not look like you, may not be in the same industry as you, may not even live on the same street as you, and may not even be biologically related to you. But this community of individuals are going to help you be successful in your family, in nurturing a relationship with your husband, in being successful in your career, whatever that is defined as. But that person is truly, or people are truly going to help you to be able to do that. It also goes along with that accountability. But I believe having that winning circle is the self care that you need. Because if you do not have these individuals, these systems in place, how are you going to be able to take care of yourself? You can't. You can't. And so I didn't mention going to the spa, getting your nails done, even though those are really great things to do. But mentally, physically, and spiritually, how are you going to take care of yourself? And I truly believe that a winning circle allows you to be the best person, the best version of yourself. And I'm a product of having that winning circle.
That I love the winning circle. I'm certainly a lot of people's accountability partner,
Yes.
because I do think it's important, and I don't know how to sugarcoat things. So it's just in my nature, and so it's
Yes.
really good for me to be people's accountability partner because I'm not the type of person who will just tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
I will definitely give you perspective,
Hmm.
and I'm going to give it to you straight. And
Hmm.
so, if your feelings get hurt easily, I'm probably not the best person to be your accountability partner.
Hmm.
And I expect people to give it to me straight
Yeah.
because I have a hard time with people who talk in circles, who don't want to just come out and say what it is. I love that over the past couple of years, I've had a few people approach me and just really just ask the question that they wanted to know, right?
Hmm.
And I just love that. And they like, is it okay if I ask you? I'm like, oh, absolutely, because I'd rather you get it from the horse's mouth. And
Yes.
so I think that's important. So I'm going to put on the screen a comment. My sabbatical is
Oh,
part of my
yes.
self-care plan.
Oh,
Yes, we all
yes.
need sabbaticals. It may be a sabbatical from your job, a sabbatical
Yes.
from your family, a sabbatical from your friends. Sabbaticals are really great to have, and vulnerability
Hmm.
was
Mm.
Ron's word for 2024. And
Mm.
I struggle with vulnerability. I
Okay.
cannot even lie. I struggle with that because I am the typical strong Black woman.
Uh-huh.
After a while, it gets to be a heavy burden.
Okay.
And we're going to talk a little bit more
Yes.
about that because it's, I'm just like, I'm not the type that'll just, sulk in pity, right? Woe is me. That's not my strategy. My
Mhm.
thing is more about, okay, this is what's facing me. What am I going to do to deal? Wait, first of all, I got to ask myself, is this something I can control?
Right.
And if it's not, then I can't worry about it. But
Right.
if it's something that I can control, what am I going to do about it? Let's get it done and let's move on.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of it. Also, what do you think the benefits are of having empowered women collectively?
There's power in the room. There's so much power in the room. Um, I can just, personally say that, when I'm around you or Sharon, like for myself, for years, I've known you guys forever. And like every time that I'm around you, it's like, I feel like I have the not only the power, but I have the strategy. I have the um I just know what to do. And it could be you guys don't even say a word, but it's just you who you are
The
that yes, you just exude that. And so there's so much power being in a room with people who are empowered, who believe in that dominion and authority that they have, and don't abuse that. And again, for me personally, it's a refresh, it's a renewal that I have when I am in the room. And I believe it's so important for us, especially those that people, you and I, people always come to us for things. For us, we need that renewal, with that refresh, by being in the room with people where we can just sit underneath them and learn from them,
mm,
um, and not have to be the one where everybody is calling and coming to us for help.
yes, energy is important.
Yes.
As women, we oftentimes surround ourselves with people who we think are our friends. And then when it is brought to light
Yes.
that these people are not our
Come
friends,
on now.
then we tend to go through the grieving process about a relationship that was never the relationship we should have sustained for an extended period of time. And so with me and my personality, I've always been the one. If we cool, we cool. But the minute you say you start acting like we not cool, I move on. I don't ask you why. I
Hmm.
don't care.
Hmm.
When you start acting funny with me, I'm good. You don't even have to worry about it, right? And so, we as women, we have a hard time of
Yes.
letting go of friendships, letting go of relationships, letting go of jobs,
Hmm.
letting go of people who mean us no good. We just have a hard time with that. And we as women, it's in order to be empowered, we have to learn how to let go and not let, when we let go, have those people take a part of us with them. Uh,
Absolutely.
and so I think, that is, part of the benefit of being empowered and being around an empowering group of women and of women who walk in their power. Um,
Yes.
my closest circle of friends, like, we're all supportive of each other. There's no pretension. They're not impressed by the things that I have or the things that I do because they're secure in who they are. And I think that it's important to have people like that in your circle because you can't always lean on your family because sometimes they'll be the ones to send you down the river without a raft. And so you got to be careful about that. And sometimes you got to let them go too. Right. And
Absolutely. And I
so,
think we also have to remember that when we go through that a grieving or mourning process of relationships, friendships, jobs, we have to be careful not to try to quickly fill that void,
Right.
because so many times we feel like, oh my God, I need to, feel this void of, missing this friend, or, not being on this job, or, my career is now taking a pivot and I'm mourning the loss of what I've done for the last 20 years. We can't be so quick to fill that void,
Mm,
because sometimes God allows us to transition so that we can grow, and we
mm-hmm,
can never grow if we're constantly filling that void with the same people,
mm-hmm.
who
Right.
show up with their representative.
Right.
So we have to be very, very careful when we go through that mourning process. Take your time, recognize what it is that you have to learn during that process, and don't be so quick to fill that void back up.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, we do that on our jobs, right?
Mm,
As women, we try to be all things to everybody at the job.
yes,
And then when we don't get that promotion,
we hurt.
we hurt. Oh, we real hurt. We real hurt. And when we are not recognized for
Mm,
our value,
yeah,
we internalize it.
yes, we do.
And sometimes we start to think that we're not good enough, you know, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And it
Yeah.
takes us a long time to get to a point where we put these jobs in perspective and start to understand that it's just a means to an end. It's not who you are. It's
Mm,
not what you are. It's not how you're going to live out the rest of your days. It's just a job. It's just, and the only reason we go there is to get the money to take care of ourselves and our families. And so once we get to that point that we understand that, we then can become empowered working moms, right? Because what's important to us should not be our jobs. That's not the most
correct.
important thing to us.
Correct.
And so we have to put it, in order. We got to have our priorities in order. Hold on. We have, that's another release, releasing external validation. Come
Mm,
on now.
mm-hmm.
Woo, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Many women struggle with external validation. That thankfully has never been my issue or anything that I was challenged with, because I never cared and I still don't care what other people think about me. I just don't. Like it don't add no value to my life.
Right.
It don't take nothing from my life. I really don't care. But a lot of women struggle with that.
Yes.
And they look for that validation as opposed to looking within to validate yourself, to know that you are enough, you are valuable, you are adding some value to multiple people's lives. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is this is why that winning circle is so important, because I will tell you, being around people who can pour into you and, I don't want to say validate, but really just assure you of who you are and what you bring to the table is so important. Because when you have or experience a childhood where you did not receive affection, or you weren't told I love you, or you weren't told that you're doing a good job, that
Mm,
stuff sticks with you.
mm,
That sticks with you. And so now you're looking to that external validation to feel fulfilled. And it's so important for that winning circle to be honest with you and to be able to lift you up so that you can be empowered, because they can pour that into you. And that's why I love therapy so much. And I share it with so many people, that therapy gives you the strategies to tell yourself who you are, what you are capable of, that you are trustworthy, and all the things that you needed when you were 10
hmm.
years old that you had not received. And so that winning circle is so important to help you release those external validations.
That's so funny you just used that
Yes.
word, because Marquita said one of my words for 2025 is release. Let it go.
Yep.
and we struggle with that, just letting
Oh,
it
yes.
go. Like, just let it go. It's run its course. Like, get over, like, move on. Like, find something else to do with your time that's
Mhm.
more fulfilling to you and for you. Um, and replace with internal confidence.
Yes.
I did a show recently on my podcast about the block I grew up on.
Hmm.
My best friend, my childhood best friend, we started it, I think I was about 10 years old. And I asked her the question, what's one of the things you remember about me back then? And she said, I just remember you always had confidence.
Mm.
And a lot of people, who were 10 or 11 years old at that time struggled with that with
Yeah.
me, and, back then that's when they used to say, crazy things like she thinks she cuter than
Yep.
everybody else, or she thinks,
Hmm.
it was whatever. I never thought I was cuter than anybody else. I never thought I was smarter than anybody else. I just know who I am, and I've always known who I was. And so I think, women struggle. And that's, a lot of times when they're giving their power away because they don't have that internal confidence.
Yes.
And in the workplace, I remember a lady saying to me, you have too much confidence.
Mm.
And I don't know what her angle was with that, but my question back to her was, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And she couldn't answer the question, right?
Hmm.
And so that just told me there was a sense of jealousy, right? And her saying, "I wish I had that type of confidence in myself
Yes.
that you have in
Yes.
yourself." And I get that,
Yes.
right? And so we have to have that internal confidence because as women, when we think about yes, Marquita Hater, when we think about all of the things that we do as women, the things we do, the things we take care of, the people that lean on us to, help them think. Like, just like, I don't like, why not have confidence in yourself when you are doing all of these things and being all of these things for other people? Clearly, they think you have something, right? And so, why don't you embrace that and internalize it and then spit that confidence out into the
Mhm.
atmosphere? Let's see. We have to center our self love, self confidence, and self esteem no matter what is happening
Yes.
in our lives. And I think now, particularly now, is very important to do that.
Correct.
We, as working moms, we have to know, or working women, we
Hmm.
have to know that if particularly our women who work for the federal sector who are being impacted right now, they have to know that their self esteem, their self love, and self confidence is what's going to show up for them. And if you can't work at this job, that doesn't mean you can't get another job, right?
Correct.
Because you have some skills that's transferable that you can go and shine somewhere else, and who knows, they might actually even appreciate and value you as a working mom.
Absolutely. And I think, that's such a great point, Sharon. There's um, so many of us who are so consumed with doing everything else that we never take the moment to love ourselves, care for ourselves, or tap into that God given confidence. And so, because we're so consumed with everybody else's priorities, we're overlooked and we're never present.
Mm,
We're never present. And so, for us, in order to change that, we have to ask ourselves, what do we want to be present for? Do we
mm-hmm,
want to be present for the people that do not think about us when they go to sleep,
mm-hmm,
that do not think about us when they wake up? Or do
mm,
we want to be present for ourselves and
mm-hmm,
for our children and our husband? Do
mm-hmm,
we want to be present for them? And I think that's so important for so many of us. I'm guilty myself, being so consumed with everything and everybody else and doing everything and going the extra mile and doing all these things that I was never present. And so I did lack the confidence. I did lack the self-esteem. I did not show up confidently. I didn't speak confidently. And so I had to learn to be present in the moment to realize I have the authority. I have the dominion to do the things that God said that I can do because he's already equipped me. So what am I over here doing?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's being present.
Yes. Sharon said her 2025 word is radical.
Mm,
And so we might have to do some radical things for the
yes,
next couple of years, right? To
we
get
do.
through the next couple of years. And
Mhm.
now is a great time to do some radical things. Now is a great
Amen.
time. If you have low self esteem, now is a great time to be radical and show up with self esteem. Now is the time to be radical and show up with confidence,
Yes,
right? Because when it comes to everybody else's stuff, we show up with
yes,
confidence.
we do.
But when it's our stuff, we don't show up with confidence.
Hmm.
We doubt ourselves. And I, for the life of me, can't imagine why, after all that we do for others, that we don't have confidence in what we can do for ourselves. Um, Sabrina said she knew her value and moved on to work for herself. Um, you know, and maybe it's the time, for
Yes.
you to do that, right?
Sabrina got out in good time.
Yes, exactly. Maybe now is the time. Maybe, your higher being is telling you that now is the time for you to tap into the talents that I gave you and figure out how to monetize those talents, right? Because we do things for other people for free,
Come on now.
but other people want to charge us for the things that they do for us. They either want to charge us our time. They want to charge us from a money standpoint. They want to charge us from, sucking up our energy standpoint. We are given freely, but people are sucking us in, right? And we got to figure out how do we put ourselves in the best possible position once we know our value so that we don't have to rely on these jobs who, at a snap of a finger, think that they can just make us unemployed.
So that is something that I have shared for the last 8 years with people. And in the episode that comes out tomorrow, I talk about the lessons that we've learned in the last 2 weeks. And one of the lessons is not to be dependent, solely dependent
Mm,
on your full-time job and having other resources. We're famous for talking about the Proverbs 31 woman and how she got up early and she had maidservants and she had different resources to support her family. But we don't take the strategies that were identified in Proverbs 31 and run with them.
mm,
And in the episode, I share that when God gave us the knowledge and the experience that He equipped us with, that often doesn't mean that we have to work with our hands. That means that we work with our head, we work
yeah.
with our brains. And so, whatever you are giving, whatever value you're giving to your employer, who can you give that to somebody, to someone else? You know, um, being an author, being a speaker, having a podcast so that you can distribute or show your thought leadership on a particular topic or a particular industry. There's so many opportunities out here where you solely do not have to depend on your full-time job. And it's wise, many financial advisors would tell you it's wise to make sure you have additional income coming in,
Hmm.
and not to live off of 100% of whatever you're bringing into the house. But yeah, I speak on it in the episode that comes out tomorrow because I'm like, there's so many lessons here for us. But the main one is, what is your plan A, your plan B, your plan C, your plan D? Because we need to have all of those.
I remember when I announced at my job that I was going to retire,
Mm,
and I got the typical response: what if we offer you this? What if we offer you that? And they had a whole list of offers. And eventually I just said to them, let me make myself very clear. If I retire, no, when I retire, if I need to make money or I choose or I have to make money, there's a lot of money out here to be made.
hmm.
I don't have to have this job to make money,
Yeah.
right? And so, they automatically think everybody is motivated by what money
Right.
they can give you, as if that's the only source of money out here. And it's not. You just ran down a whole list of things people can do to make money. Everybody has talents. And until we start capitalizing off of those talents, we are stuck at the grace and mercy of
Yes.
a job that don't care nothing about us.
Yes.
Stephanie said, confidence is like a light. People are drawn to it, and if they are open and receptive to hear your light. Powerful message today. Thank you for your authenticity. Yes, thank you, Stephanie. That
Yes.
is
Thank you,
absolutely
Stephanie.
true. It will certainly, people are drawn to it. And
Mhm.
so, depending on, who you are as a person, your personality, in some regards, if you're introvert like I am, I get my energy from myself. I know everybody
Yes.
thinks I'm an extrovert, but I get my energy from myself. It sometimes is exhausting, right? I got to be honest. Sometimes it's exhausting because
Hmm.
people are drawn to me.
Yes.
And I never show that exhaustion with people. But when I get home and I'm around my family and I'm sitting around, chilling, like not wanting anybody to talk to me, I'm trying to refill my own cup because
Yes.
people have drained the cup. Um, let's see. Home is your first ministry.
Yes.
Absolutely. Learn to be present because at the end of the day, your family is the only thing
Yes.
that matters. Absolutely.
Yes.
Marquita said that's the silver lining of all of this political stuff. No choice but get
Hmm.
radical or left behind. Yes. Sabrina says, um, we got to stop giving away our talents for
Come
free.
on now.
Become consultants in your area of expertise. Absolutely. Come on, I'm gonna give you a round of applause for that one, Sabrina. We certainly got to stop giving our talents away for free. And
Hmm.
we have to recognize that I'm putting this in quotes, our friends
Hmm.
not going to be the people that's going to be supportive when we start monetizing our talents. They're
Correct.
going to still want your talents for free because you've been giving it away for free, right? And so when we start to think about starting a business, we have to look outside of the people that we think we know to generate that income because those are not going to be the people who are going to support you, unfortunately.
Hmm. Absolutely. It's you and I are the opposite. So I'm very much an extrovert, so I get my energy from being around people. And I'm just like, you come to my house and you come to my house and let's get together and let's have fun and let's stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning. That's how I get my energy. And I'm good. And what I realized is when I started Visionary Initiatives, I had to use that energy and get out. I had to go to different networking organizations. I had to join different organizations so that I can meet other people and those people can connect me to the other people that then became my clients. And then I developed partnerships. And so now I have lasting partnerships with people, with organizations. And so, you know, there are opportunities out there for us. It is you stepping out of your comfort zone. Again, knowing that you have the dominion and the authority to go out and say, I'm going to do this, and I need God, your help in helping me secure this and this and this so that I can be successful.
Oh, absolutely. I love this comment. One thing we have as women is
Mhm.
intuition, and we must use this gift accordingly. Absolutely. We cannot ignore it, right? Because something inside of us tells us this job is not right for me. I had that at least 7 different times in my federal career,
Mm,
which is why I worked at 7 different federal agencies because my intuition told me and the people showed me that they didn't value me. So I just moved on because
mhm,
I recognize a couple of things about a job. One is it's not your organization,
mhm.
and the people are going to make the decisions that they are going to make, and they're not going to take you into consideration when it comes to those decisions.
Mhm.
And that they were, I had to, I learned that they were not the only job in town.
Yeah.
And so once they started making decisions that was contrary to my growth and development, it was time for me to move on. And so I had to listen to my intuition, um, to make sure that we understand, that I understood what the path was for me, because I very well could have been stuck
Yeah.
at one agency because I was afraid to move on because of superficial things, right? I hear people say, in the workplace, oh, I don't want to, go to another job because of the flexibilities that I have at this job. Well, how do you know you won't have it at the next job if you never test it out, right? And when you show up at work, you have this is supposed to be a mutual relationship, and you have to tell the people what you want,
That's right.
just like they tell you what they want. And so if you are in an environment where you can't do that, that's not the environment for you.
Mhm.
Sharon said, if we as women don't practice intentional self-care, our bodies will sit us down. It will not be at the most convenient time.
That is so true. And that is something that I share with every episode of the podcast. I call it a Tabitha moment. And in that moment, I correlate or relate individuals to Tabitha or Dorcas in the Bible, where she served her community and then all of a sudden she died.
Mm,
And the Apostle Peter, he heard of it and he resurrected her, and then she was able to go back out and serve. But so many of us are like that. We're like Tabitha, where we're going and going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny, and then we need to be resurrected. And until we understand that we are important and that dominion and authority also requires us to sit down and rest in God, rest, then we will be like Tabitha, and God will sit us down forcefully, which is not always pretty.
right.
And when that happens, yes, you'll learn from it, but you don't have to go through that experience if you rest. And so I love what Sharon had said earlier about having a sabbatical. One of the things that I teach the working moms that I work with is you have to observe the Sabbath. God
Mm,
created a Sabbath for a reason, not for him to have rest because he's omniscient. Like God doesn't need rest, but he set an example for us to rest. So if God worked 6 days and then rested on the seventh, then we need to do the same. So
mm.
whatever that seventh day is, we have to observe the Sabbath. We have to rest in God, rest in worship, rest in our health, worth, making sure that we are resting fully so that we are prepared for whatever is coming up next.
Yeah, Sharon said intuition is our superpower. Stop
Mhm.
ignoring it. Yes. Yes. God, generator, operator, destroyer. Yes, Marquise.
Mm.
Absolutely. I like that. Generator, operator, destroyer. Yes. We have
Mm.
to generate the type of energy
Mhm.
we need to sustain ourselves. We got to operate in our talents, in our gifts. and we got to destroy those things that mean us no good. I
Mhm.
love that.
Your
And
washing is done.
those are people.
Mhm.
Um, so, how can women stand in solidarity with each other,
Mm.
understanding that right now, Black women are tired? We tired. We've had about enough. And the last 3 weeks is the reason why we are tired. So, how do we stand in solidarity with each other?
Absolutely. So there's that winning circle. Again, having that winning circle, but you being honest with yourself of what you need. What do you need?
Mm,
And then who is going to supply that need?
mm,
And I know for myself, um, I really, at a time when I needed community, I had to lay out to God, God, I need help. I need help. I need people to do X, Y, and Z for me and my family. And when I laid everything out to him and I said, God, I'm giving you all control, I'm surrendering all to you, he supplied the names of those people to me. And so when I approached those people, I didn't get a yes. I mean, I didn't get a no. I didn't get a maybe. I didn't get a let me think about it. I got an immediate yes
mm,
because I was obedient to the Holy Spirit in going to those people and seeking that help. So for us, it's truly laying out, God, I don't know how. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to coexist. I don't know how to survive. God, I need you. And identify the angels here on earth to support me in this particular season that I'm in and give me those names. And just being specific with God, God, I need you to give me those names of people. I need you to tell me what they exactly will be doing and how I need to approach them for them to do it. And honestly, every single time that I've done it, it's been an immediate yes. And it's been exactly what I needed without me going into any detail. And so, community is so important for us. And so, really asking ourselves what it is that we need and making sure it's in alignment with what God says we need. Because there's two different things. Because what we feel we need, that's really what we want. But
mm,
what we need is what God is saying that we need.
mm.
And so it's laying out for Him.
So, I'm going to say this because I know I'm not alone. I struggle with asking people for help.
Yes.
That's really, really difficult for me to do. And Marquita says, not asking for help because we've been the help for so long. It's a trauma response. Ask me how I know.
Oh, yes. And so that winning circle, therapy, is so important because therapy will break down why asking for help is so hard. And one of the things that my therapist really helped me understand was, why don't I think I'm important?
Mm,
Why don't I think I'm important? Because everyone thinks I'm important enough to come to me and ask me for help, for support, for whatever.
mm,
But why do I feel like I'm not important?
mm-hmm,
Because obviously I am. But it goes back to, how do you view yourself? And if you view yourself as important, then the same way people are coming to you and asking you for help, you can go and ask. But it's also having that discernment of who to ask, when to ask, and what to ask. But honestly, why don't you think you're important? Why don't you think you're important? And again, this is something I struggle with, and therapy has been so helpful. But that winning circle will allow you to understand that you are important and you are worth the help that you need. And also recognizing that, yes, people come to you, and this is something I had to learn myself. People come to you for help, but you are not God. And for so many of us, we play God in other people's lives.
Mm.
We play
Come on.
God, lowercase g God, because we believe that we can solve their problems and we're the only one that can solve their problem. But to be honest, there is no woman and no man walking around this earth that is God.
Right.
None of us. None of us can solve problems. None of us can be the answer to anybody's problem. Why do we have to set ourselves up to be a God to somebody else?
Well, I'm gonna tell you about me.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I don't like to ask people for help is because I got a bad attitude, right?
Okay.
If I ask you for something, that means I really need it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you either A, don't do it, or you say no, that's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna be up in my feelings. And number two, if you say you're going to do it and then you don't do it, I'm going to be in my feelings. So to avoid me being in my feelings, because I can't necessarily trust that you're going to help, then that's going to be a problem for me. Because I know I give myself wholly and freely to anybody who needs
Yeah.
help. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been burned and some occasions of asking for help and the people didn't do what they said they were going to do, or they had to think about it, right? And
Yeah.
so it's more difficult for me, but I know that my really close circle of friends, that includes my siblings, if I need something, I know who to call for what, right?
Yes.
And I know that they're going to come through. But, when I start trying to expand that circle is where I run into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'll help you, but I would never come to you for help because I already know you wishy washy, right? And so I know that it's important for me to be obedient for what I'm supposed to do. I
Yes.
can't worry about what you're doing, right? And so if you
Correct.
call, if you call me and you need my help, I'm gonna help you. I'm not. It's not a tit for tat, right? But I just know who I can rely on for things that I need. So my winning circle is important to me.
Yeah.
Um, so my goal during my sabbatical is to continue to live a healthy, wealthy, and wise life. We
Mm.
must do the hard work. Oh, absolutely. We must do the hard work. And having a personal relationship with God is where your true power lies. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So, Latika, let me ask you this because time is going by really, really quickly. What's a small step women can take to empower themselves?
Ooh. Ooh, small steps. I would definitely say, the first is asking yourself, what do you want? What do you want out of this life that God has given you? And is that in alignment with God's will? Because the Bible tells us that God, He gives the desires of our heart if they are aligned with His will. So, what is that? And that goes into, why are you here? What is your mission? What is your purpose? Are you doing that? But the other thing is asking for help.
Mm,
Asking for help. Understanding that you cannot do it all and
mm,
you cannot do it all alone.
mm,
You have to have others. And it's so interesting because I heard somebody say the Bible is a manual to relationships. And that really made me think twice, because when you really look at it, there are relationships up and down the Old and New Testament in the Bible. If the Bible showed so many relationships and the value of relationships, why is it so hard for us to be able to ask for help in those relationships?
mm,
And understanding that, when we look at, for those of us that call ourselves Christians who are Christ-like, that's the definition of Christian. What was Jesus' example? Jesus gave an example of his relationships. He gave us three examples. One, he had many, many, many disciples and apostles. So that's one bucket of people. and he traveled with them, and they preached and teached and did everything together. The second category or bucket of people were his 12 disciples. And these 12 disciples, he experienced certain aspects of his life with. But the third bucket and most important bucket that we always should pay attention to are the three people that were with Jesus at all times. That was Peter, James, and John. They were with him when he prayed. They were with him when he fasted. They were with him when he cried. And so if Jesus set an example for us for relationships, we need to follow that. He asked for help. Yes, he was a teacher to all of them, but he was a teacher to John, Peter, and James. But he learned from them. He talked with them. He asked for help from them. And so it's so important for us to take that example and do the same.
So my daughter is on here, Tasia, and she says, us children appreciate our mothers and all you do. And I love that because I think, everything is a cycle. And I
Yes.
think, when the kids are infants, they depend on us 100% of the time. And then at some point in their lives, they get to a place where they think that they don't need their parents or their mothers. And they think they are smarter
Yes.
than the mothers, right? And then they get to a young adulthood and they realize they don't know half the things they thought they knew and what life was really about. And so they go back to depending on
Yes.
their mothers and asking for advice and, seeking out the relationship. And I just think that's so important. So thank you for that, Tasia. I'm glad you appreciate
Yes.
me. Um, so let's switch to this because I this is going to be an interesting um, conversation. What are ways men can be good allies with us
Mm,
trying to empower ourselves as working moms?
that's such a good question. Um, I will honestly say, shout out to my husband, who I think is listening right now. But one of the things that he has done that has been so helpful is to be present while I'm in my vision.
Mm,
So, there's so many things that I know that I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing them. But when I involve him and when he's in it, he sees it and he's like, I get it now. I get why you're this way, and I get why you're so excited about this. And because I see it, I'm going to do everything that you need me to do and so much more to make sure you're successful with this vision. And so I think one of the things that they can do is to recognize that we have a vision, that there's something that we want to do, that we're called to do, even if they don't get it, even if it don't make sense to them.
mm,
Be present in the vision. Be present in the vision making. Be present in the vision pursuing. Be present. And being present gives us the boosted confidence, give us the boosted authority, gives us the boosted dominion to move forward, to pursue what it is that we are called to do. And I would say, honestly, coverage, having men cover us.
mm.
You mentioned at the on site how you are a strong Black woman, and many of us um, carry that label with us. However, we, as Karen White says, we're not superwoman.
We're not.
And
Play one on TV though.
we do. We sing about it. We can sing. Um, but it's so important for us to understand, just like Christopher Reeves, who was Superman, the only Superman I know, just like he saved the world and did everything, he had somebody that supported.
Oh, come on
He
now.
had somebody who was in his corner. He had someone who was covering for him. he had someone who loved him just like that. That is what we need from our men, from our husbands, from our brothers, from our fathers. We need that coverage, the prayer, the affirmations, reaffirming us. That is what we need from our men to be able to do. And likewise, we do the same to them.
Yes.
But we definitely need that.
And it should never be a competition.
Yes.
It has to be, you have to be in lockstep.
Yes.
And while we giving shout outs to our men, yes, the protection, Marquita. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to shout mine out. I'm just so thankful for all of the things that he does
Yes.
for not only just the family, but for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
He knows there's certain things I just don't like to do, right? And so he steps up and he takes care of those things. He doesn't complain about them. He don't say when the last time you went to the grocery store. He doesn't say when the last time you know
Mm-hmm.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate it because if he didn't do it, I would have to do it. And it would just be more things on my plate to do. And so, it's so important to not be in competition and not doing the tit for tat. You know,
Yes.
I did it last time. Well, you can do it this time. Ain't nobody got time for that. How about you just do it every time and we call it even, right? Because it all balances
Right.
out in the long run,
It does.
right? Sharon said God gives us the vision, but does not always show us the journey
Correct.
to get there. So having a God fearing man is critical. Oh, absolutely.
Correct.
Like you said, covering you, making sure that when you are excited about something, they share in that excitement. Not,
Yes.
not faking it, but really be excited for you. And I used to always joke, Jim, about, as I was so ambitious throughout my career, he would just say, well, how much money they gonna pay you? And I'm like, so you pimping me now, right? And he's like, yeah, go get a new job. He didn't care,
Uh-huh.
right? And he supported me because we commuted together.
Mhm.
So no matter where my new job was, he would drop me off there and pick me up. And
Mhm.
so, that was important to me because I don't ride public transportation. And without him doing that piece of it,
Yeah.
it would have made my life more difficult. And
Yeah.
so, and uncomfortable. And so having a partner who share in your joy and your vision and support you and understand that they may not necessarily see the vision, but they trust you
Yes.
enough to support the vision. And
Absolutely.
so I know that I started planning for retirement very early in my career. And Jim didn't necessarily even think about the vision for retirement, but he trusted me enough to make the vision a reality. And
Mm.
so, having men in your life who support you, not abusive, not taking you
Yes.
through a whole bunch of unnecessary craziness. Everybody gonna go through something, but it ain't gotta
Mm-hmm.
be a whole bunch of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we have partners who learn from their missteps and we learn from our missteps is
Correct.
when we can come together and have a beautiful life together.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
So important.
and so one last question. What advice do you have for women who want to do more?
Whew. That's such a good question because that is me all the time. One of the things that
Sharon said
um
easy.
so, I had to ask myself the question, and I referenced this earlier in a coaching call with someone, was Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why.
Hmm.
Why do I need to do it? Why? Like, why do I need to do this? And really analyzing, if I do this, what needs to be taken off my plate? What is the benefit? What's the ROI for doing this? One of the things that I did recently last year was I was a president of a organization for 4.5 years, and I absolutely loved that position. And the Holy Spirit tells you when it's time to go. And I was fighting it because I'm like, I love it. I love being around people, and I gotta do this. And I also wanted to be the board of an organization, be a board member of an organization, a brand new organization of the first charter school out here in Southern Maryland. And I knew I couldn't do both.
Mm,
I knew I couldn't do both, but I wanted to. I really wanted to. So I had to ask myself the question, why? What am I going to do? Why do I want to do both? Um, will that take more time away from my family?
mm,
And who is it going to benefit?
mm,
And what I realized is that me being on the board of the charter school was going to benefit my whole entire family, my
mhm,
whole entire family. Whereas being on the board of that organization that I was in and I absolutely loved was only supporting me.
mm,
It was only going to benefit me. And so I had to ask myself, why? Why? And so I had to let go. I had to step down from that organization, from that position, and say, okay, I'm going to go into this board and it's going to benefit my whole entire family. And since I made that move, it has been beautiful. And I've been able to get things done for my girls, making sure that they are together when it comes to school. But it has really helped my family. And so, for those that want to do more, you got to start with why. Why do you want to do it? What is it? And therapy, again, helps. What is it about doing more is going to help you?
mm,
Because it's not going to help you by doing more, because doing more is exhausting.
mhm,
It's not empowering.
mm,
Because the other thing about empowerment is delegation.
mhm,
How can you do more if you can't delegate?
mm,
So you really have to start with why. Why am I doing this? And really analyze those ROI questions. And you decide with the guidance of the Holy Spirit, with your husband, with your winning circle, what is going to be most important to you and your family in this season. Because we can't talk about next season. We got to talk about this season. What is the ROI in this season? Who knows? 10 years from now, I may go back to that organization
mhm.
and do whatever in that organization. But right now, in this season, I need to do what's best for my family.
Okay, well, we will leave it at that. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why if you want
Yes.
to do more. I want to thank my special guest, Latika
Yes.
Vines, for joining
Thank
me with this
you.
very important and very timely conversation about empowering the working mom. Most of us are working moms. And so it's important for us to take a step back and always, always, always think about what we need, why we need it, and how we're going to get it. And the people in our circle who can help us reach whatever goals and strategies we want to either develop or go get. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Latika, I'm going to ask you to sit tight for me while I do my what the hell segment.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what the hell. Ladies, this is especially for you. What the hell are you thinking about when you are doubting yourself? When you lack self esteem and self confidence. Where the hell did that come from? Did that come from your upbringing? Release it, let it go. Did it come from a relationship you were in, or maybe you probably still are in, and that person that you're in a relationship with doesn't support you? They don't build you up, they don't cheer you on. If that's your situation, ask yourself, why the hell am I still with this person? What am I getting out of this relationship? Because as women, we are powerful, we are resourceful, we are go getters, we are smart, and people rely on us to make this world tick. And so ask yourself, why the hell am I doubting myself? Because you have everything that you need to walk in your power. Don't ever give your power to somebody else because they're not responsible enough to handle their own power. So you know they can't handle yours. And with that, I'm going to say thank you for joining me tonight and on Let's Get Into It. I'll be back here when my next special guest, we're going to be talking about CIAA. Y'all know how much I love that. I'm going to have some people on here talking about CIAA. So join me in 2 weeks from today. And thank you all so very much for joining me. Have a great night. Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.